Preparation for the ARE is no easy task. You have to pass 6 exams, and they're all behemoths in their own right. In this video, we're going to discuss strategies for effectively tackling the ARE both through mind and body. Let's begin with the first, and hopefully most obvious strategy, setting a goal. It's very important at this stage in your career, especially because you're preparing to do architectural projects, to treat your goal to pass the architect's registration exam like a project. In that regard, there's a diagram here that I've created where it actually shows you that it's possible to complete this exam series with actually 2 fails per exam and still get it done in a year. In this case, each exam is actually separated by 3 weeks, which means if you take them in packs of 3, PCM, PJM, CE, then you're going to wind up with a series of 3 weeks in between each exam, and that'll be equivalent to 60 days plus a half a week to the next time you can take an exam after a fail. So if you plan ahead and if you schedule it out, you can actually work around some of these dates and try to get as much done as you possibly can. Especially if you pass some of them on your first or second go around, you could actually get this done in just a handful of months. The exam order that most people suggest for the architect's registration exam is to study for practice management, project management, and construction and evaluation all at the same time. Programming and analysis, you can sandwich it in the middle or at the end, but project planning and design and project development and documentation are ones that you should take together as well. So this is the typical pathway to becoming an architect that most people are taking in the ARE 5.0 format. In setting a goal, it's important to remember to commit to that goal. Treat this process like it's your job, because it is your job, essentially. It's about advancing your career to a point that you take the professionalism of being an architect to the next level. That's an important step, and it may even earn you a bit more money. Be sure to schedule some focus time too. Focus time is critically important because there are so many things happening in our project work and with our families and friends throughout the day that you need to intentionally schedule that focus time in order to be able to be successful to download the information the way that is most effective. You'll also need to consider whether or not you're the type of person that likes to tell others to have the accountability behind the words that you say and the goals that you've set, or if you're more reserved and your objective is to tell others only when achieved. And then lastly, turn off all your electronics. Another really important note, one that a lot of people will tend to overlook, is scheduling the exam. I hear a lot of debate about, I'm not sure I'm ready. I'm not ready to schedule it because I'm not sure I'm ready to take it. Chasing perfection on these exams is a fool's errand, and you'll never feel like you're 100% perfectly ready to take it. Additionally, there isn't really any truly reliable metric or practice exam that you can take that 100% says you will pass. So, schedule it. Commit to the goal. If you fail, you fail. No big deal. You go back and you study the things that you didn't get correct, and then you move on and you do it again, and hopefully you'll pass the next time. Many people have asked me, what is the best possible day to take the exam? My best advice to them is to think about the schedule for the week. Not everybody's looks like this, but I would say most professionals that work at an office have a week that does kind of look like this. Really, everything in the middle, everything that's happening from potentially Monday through Friday is a question mark. You go to the office in the morning, something happens with your family in the evening. The weekdays are chaotic, and you don't know what curveballs you're going to be thrown. The one area you do have some control over is the weekend. So when the work week ends on Friday, hopefully you can unplug and then change your schedule such that you can actually prepare for your studies, especially the weekend right before the exam. It's really important to get yourself in the right mind space, which is why I suggest taking exams on Monday morning. That way you have the most time possible to separate yourself from the pressures of the workplace and to get yourself in the examination mindset. If you do it Monday morning, you have the most time to do that. The second best option would be Sunday morning. I don't suggest taking any in the afternoon. The reason is, when you wake up in the morning, you have far too much time between waking up and going to take the exam where something can capture your attention and throw you off of your psychological balance. So be thinking about strategies like this as you think about when to schedule your test. I will reiterate and adamantly state, yet again, afternoons are not suggested, unless this is for a very specific personal schedule reason. Maybe you work wild hours and this is just the only time that you can. Or you work on international projects and you're off schedule. There's just too much opportunity in the morning for something to happen that takes you out of the right mindset. Some other bits of advice that I have for you, especially in the weekend leading up to taking the exam, is to say no to parties. Yes, that's correct. Don't go crazy that weekend. Don't drink too much alcohol. Hangovers will get in the way. This isn't college anymore. So say no to alcohol or drugs that weekend, or at least keep it to a very, very minimum. And then also avoid scheduling near major life events. We have moving, marriage, stork deliveries, anything that you've got going on in your life that is a major, major milestone or even mildly unpredictable, like a baby coming. Make sure to plan with enough room for comfort around that, because if that's on your mind, it's going to be tough to be in the right mindset to take the exam. And then lastly, clean the house before the weekend. All of those household chores that you're planning on doing over the weekend and then switching into the mindset for the exam, it's not really the most advisable way to do it. Have a clear space, a clear window, a substantial clear window before the exam day. I would like to emphasize that weekend, if you do Monday morning or Sunday morning, that weekend is your sacred study time. So carve it out, settle your affairs, and then go into the right mind space to prepare for the exam. Some other bits of advice that I have for you, and this is all very general, is to relax. Make sure that you spend time shedding the stress that you have from the exam study process. Also, eating well. And then also meditating and clearing your mind. If you're the type of person that likes to take a book down to the beach in order to relax, that is a great option for the days leading up to the exam. At that point, you've studied so much that you won't be able to cram too much new information in. So really, you should just be in a review pattern. If the way that you wind down is to entertain yourself, definitely go out and entertain yourself. Go see a movie. And then lastly, review lightly. It is critical not to try and cram that information at the end, because it will throw off the long-term memory that you have from some of the content that you learned previous. And then regarding some of the things that we do that aren't necessarily healthy, but it is kind of a habit, like coffee or other caffeinated beverages, or particular dietary issues. It's not super wise to completely cut out certain habits, especially abruptly in those days right before going into the exam. But it is okay to cut it back a little bit. It's not advisable to drink an entire energy drink right before you go into the exam. You'll get jittery and it's a little bit harder to focus. But maybe a little half of an energy drink is a good idea. Again, as I stated previously, only limit it. Don't make too drastic of a change. Then give yourself time to settle all of your morning affairs. So on exam day especially, wake up early. If there's anything that you have to settle in the house, like taking the mail or something, take that. And then give yourself plenty of time to get to the exam center with more time to spare. And then lastly, eat a healthy breakfast, but again, not too unfamiliar. Stick with the types of foods that you're used to eating, but if you're used to eating something tremendously unhealthy, maybe adjust it to something that's slightly more healthy, but in the same family of foods. And then lastly, if you pass, go out and celebrate. It's a big deal. You've accomplished something major in your career, and you're one step closer to being a licensed architect. Even if you fail, celebrate anyway. You've already accomplished something so tremendous on the path to becoming an architect, and you shouldn't beat yourself up about that too much. You've learned, and now you have a roadmap for success the next go-around.